Fola Evans-Akingbola, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's so great to have you here. I loved your show 10%, and you're so good in that because I don't think we're giving anything away, but you play someone who is dealing with the journey in that show. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like a meta commentary on a show about the industry with an actress doing it, and you're so good in it. It's just like
Thank you.
you're rooting for your character because there's a lot of character with flaws in there, but you're amazing in that. And you've done Siren and then Game of Thrones. I mean, your career is incredible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're right. It was very like meta that to be doing like 10%. And even when I got that audition through, and because I was a big fan of the French one already, so to get the audition through and be like, oh, I'm auditioning for to play an actress, and then in the audition, like my audition for the show, it included an audition scene, like one of Zoe's audition scenes. So I was auditioning
Oh,
with an
wow.
audition scene to audition for the show.
Wow, that's incredible. It doesn't get any more meta than that, but I'm super excited to talk about the show. But if it's okay with you, can we start from the beginning? Where did you grow up?
Sure. I grew up in Southeast London in Bermondsey, which is near like the River Thames, and then moved out to a place called Honour Oak Park when I went to my family moved there when I went to secondary school in Dulwich. So, but I'm always a Southeast London girl. I think I will
Ah,
never, I don't think I could ever imagine living in like North London or West London. Londoners are funny
wow.
like that. Where
So
are you
you're
based?
I live in New York City, but I'm in
Okay.
Virginia visiting my mother right now. But
I know.
do you still like live in London then when you're not working?
Yes, yeah, I'm still based in Southeast London. I'm like 10-minute walk from my mum's house, and like I'm a I like to be sort of close to all my people. But Londoners are funny. We're sort of like North Londoners are like, oh, you live south of the river, and South Londoners are like, oh, north of the river.
Oh wow. I didn't know about the like geographic. I mean, I guess like West London is pretty bougie, right?
Yes,
And
yeah,
then East
exactly.
London is now artsy,
Yeah,
right?
I got the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Southeast is just I don't know whatever people think of Southeast, but we love it.
That's amazing. I'm so I hope we make your home neighborhood proud today.
Yeah.
And tell me, what did your parents do? Are they artists?
Yeah, so my dad is a composer and musician, and my mum is an anthropologist. So I, I think I had the luxury of growing up in a household where um, anything was an option for us in terms of what we wanted to do for work. And my having seen my dad have a career in the music industry, it wasn't. It never kind of crossed my mind that it's not possible to do that. I think I was very lucky in that sense because I know a lot of artists have that hurdle of like, oh, you can't get these kind of ideas of like, you can't make money as an artist, you can't make a career as an artist. But because I didn't grow up with that as a blueprint, I feel very fortunate about that. And then, yeah, my mom's an anthropologist.
Wow. And then obviously having a father who's literally a composer, where the arts introduced you at a pretty young age.
Yeah, I think, as early as I can remember, so I have an older sister as well. And yeah, I think we just grew up in a house where all sorts of different music was constantly playing. My dad was going on tour, so we'd get to go and see his performances. And then my uncle on my dad's side is an actor, and then my uncles on my mum's side are like cameramen and editors. So I definitely have felt lucky to get to be kind of tapped into um, so many different creative people.
That's incredible. And I'm so glad you had that. Did you play music?
um I I yeah, when I was little I did the violin and I did the piano, but I was just that classic, like I didn't practice. And my
Yeah.
mum and dad, more my mum, like really tried to get me to practice, and it just got to that point where she was like, okay, I'm giving up if you don't want to do this. And I think my dad sort of, I kind of wish he had been a bit more like of a tiger parent with it, because it
Yeah,
would be
totally.
awesome to be able to play a musician, to be able to play an instrument now. But I think he sort of took the opposite, because he's a musician, he sort of took the opposite tack. He was just like, well, if they take to it, they take to it. But my sister has a beautiful voice and she can play the piano, but not me. Do you play any instruments?
No, but isn't it interesting how like once you get in your 30s, you know, you start to think of like, man, all those things my parents told me to do that I didn't want to do. I'd kill to speak another language. I'd kill to play the violin. Like, yeah, I should have studied more, because like education, so, you know, it's just like you really start to learn. It's like you're young, so you're just like you just want to play and have fun.
Exactly. It just wasn't, I just sort of, and that's the thing, I think I love music and I have such an appreciation for it, and it's sort of in my bones in that sense, but I just can't play any instruments. But I love music. So I guess at least I've inherited that.
That's incredible. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And maybe I'll see you in a musical soon. Who
knows? Gosh, I'd have to have singing lessons. I would love that though.
Hey, Garfield did it. You could do it, you know?
Could he not sing before?
No, he got lessons for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was like part of, I mean, look, he's incredible in the film, but I think that was part of what helped the Oscar momentum, because he wasn't a singer and he learned just for that role.
Oh my gosh, that gives us all hope.
I know. If you have lots of money and can hire a singer and a studio will pay for it, do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But tell me then, at what point did acting, you know, start to come into, I mean, obviously the UK theater, there's so much, but like, where did the discovery happen?
I mean, my sister and I did a lot of acting when we were little. We were both part of something called Jasper Youth Theatre in Dulwich. But then that was like under the age of 11, right? Really like young. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But then when I went to secondary school, I don't know why, but I completely stopped all performing arts. I was a sports scholar, so I did a lot of sport, and it was a very academic school. So that's what I focused on. But I didn't do any acting. Like, if you said to some of the people that I went to school with that I'm an actor now, they'd be like, really? Like, she did no acting. And so, like, that's really random. Yeah. And so then when I left school, I was
school, are you talking about like grammar school? Secondary school. Okay.
What do you got? High school?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
What you call it. Yeah. So when I was 18 and I left school, it got to a point where my mum had sort of noted, you know, I was trying to find myself a bit, and my mum said, why don't you like try and find a hobby that you do just for yourself? Like, doesn't have to be about being productive or making money, or you know, just something that you enjoy doing just for the sheer joy of it. I was like, okay, I'll try an acting class again. And that's sort of how it started. I did a acting class at a place called City Lit in London, and it was literally just like a really small part-time thing, but then I loved it. And so then I did another one, and then I did like a summer course at Lambda, one of our drama schools, and then I auditioned.
One of the best.
Yeah, it's so amazing, Lambda. And then I auditioned for National Youth Theatre, and that, I think, auditioning for National Youth Theatre, I kind of thought it was a bit of a like shot in the dark. I was like, well, let's see.
And it was your first go?
Yeah, it was my first go.
Wow.
I think Daisy did. Do you know what National Youth Theatre is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, of course, it's massive. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to assume. And so when I got in, I was like, oh, okay, that's a good sign. And I think it was then that I really stopped thinking of it as just a hobby, and started to think that, oh, maybe I could do this. And at the same time, I had started a place called Identity Drama School, which is run by Femi Oguns, who's my agent now. And through those classes, he signed me to the agency, and then I started auditioning. And so it happened quite organically for me, which I feel very lucky about.
If you don't mind me asking, how long, like, between that getting in and getting signed, are we talking about?
Like joining Identity Drama School?
Yeah.
It was probably 3 months.
Oh, so it happened really quick.
Yeah, it happened pretty quickly. And I think that's the thing. That's why I'm always, and what you do with the show so great and so fascinating, is everyone's journey is different.
Totally.
Right? And so I think sometimes people might ask me, you know, about oh, how did you get an agent and this kind of thing. I'm very aware of the fact that I actually have no idea how you get an agent.
Yeah.
I actually have no idea. I was very lucky to just be in the right place at the right time. And he signed me, and I'm very grateful for that and so lucky for that. But I'm sort of rubbish at giving advice about how you would actually pursue getting an agent for yourself, which I know, I hope that doesn't sound
no, it's very self-aware and honest, and I appreciate
Yeah.
the candor. And it is different for everybody, and there is no right way. And for those listening, it doesn't make sense. And
Yeah.
I encourage people to. The way I always give advice to actors is, if you pursue this business, like having an agent is never going to happen, you'll find yourself much better off, because it makes no sense, because they want you to be getting roles. So like, if you approach it like you can't get one, and you got to find your way of building rapport with casting directors, when you do get one, because you will get one, you're going to be so much better off.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. That's really great advice.
I hope so. But yeah, but then tell me, so once you got signed, was it pretty instantaneous that you started getting called in?
Yeah, I started getting auditions pretty well, but it wasn't kind of like an instant, like, okay, booking after booking it. You know, it took a bit of time, and, you know, figuring out, gosh, the audition process and what that all means. And I had a couple of sort of early close calls to big things, but that I think in hindsight I wouldn't have been ready for at all. And so in the end, it was sort of nice to have and I still feel like I'm not having a slow build. Like, my first job was a show called Holby City, which I think every British actor has, like, Holby City and the bill is like their first.
Oh, it's like RSVU.
Yes.
Yeah. Which exactly. I just did.
Oh, did you? Awesome.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was cool. I mean, you know, it's cool as 4 sentences gets.
Yeah. But you know what it is? It's like, it's something, I think, because it was my first project and it's for the BBC. And I grew up in a house where, like, the BBC and the Guardian newspaper were such, like, you know, they're like British institutions. So
totally.
getting my first job on the BBC, I was just thrilled to be working for the BBC, and it was also the first time that I really was on a big set and fell in love with the collaborative nature of film and TV work. How it takes a village, and we're all cogs in the machine, and no one is more important than anyone else. That, like, if us actors aren't lit correctly, then if the focus puller isn't doing their job, then it doesn't matter. Like, that we're all kind of working together. And I really fell in love with actually the kind of behind the camera aspect of what we do as well. The story, like how it takes us all to make the story. And then from that, I guess each job, of course, with everyone, right? Each job just sort of builds and leads to the next one. And then I did Death in Paradise for the BBC, which was a bit more of I had a few more episodes in that. So that, again, gave me a bit more experience. And then Game of Thrones came. Yeah.
And then, I mean, we can't gloss over that. How did that feel? My agent Femi called me to say that I booked Game of Thrones whilst I was shooting Death in Paradise, which is a show that shoots in Guadeloupe, in the Caribbean, which is very lovely, very lush. And he called me, and the Wi-Fi was a bit funny, and he was like, he always likes to sort of tell you the news in a funny way. So he was like, we couldn't hear each other, and he was like, hopefully the Wi-Fi is better in Spain. And I was like, what? And he was like, hopefully the Wi-Fi is better in Spain. I was like, and I knew that Game of Thrones shot in Spain. Yeah. And I was like, and then he told me that I got it. And it's the kind of thing where, you know, my character, you know, it wasn't kind of a huge role, but I'm a big believer that just being a part of such quality TV, such amazing storytelling, being surrounded by just, you know, that's an Emmy-winning show. I mean, that costs $30 million an episode. I mean, nobody gets that kind of experience.
Exactly.
That sets are like, you know, it's like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
that's like exactly. In the history of Hollywood, it doesn't get bigger than that, you know?
Exactly. So it felt really awesome. And I think even funnily enough, even though I think the on my IMDb it just says like Morrow's wife #1, and I had lines, and I had a few episodes, but it wasn't like a named character. But I think it did have an effect. Being a part of Game of Thrones on my CV did then have a positive effect on the trajectory of what happened next for me in terms of booking slightly bigger roles. So I think that's
leads or solid supporting started coming your way because of that.
Yeah, I think so. It's like, I mean, I know it's hard to sort of kind of analyze my own journey, but I do think that once you're part of those shows that are known worldwide and known for being so good, it does help.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of briefly touch on because obviously so many actors love that show. What was just the set experience like? Was that just, to see the machine, because they have like 5 units shooting simultaneously?
Yeah. I was in the space. So yeah, exactly. Some people were shooting in Belfast, in Ireland. I was in Spain. And it was epic. Like, it was also epic because it was a group of us. So we were the new kind of Dothraki tribe. And so a group of us flew over. We were all in the same hotel. The costumes were just like, you put them on instantly and you just felt like, just a whole,
all the work was done for you.
Yeah. All the work was done. Exactly. Yeah. It was so, such talented people in the costume department. And then we had to learn Dothraki too. So we were all
phonetically.
Wow. Yeah. I'm like, my brain, I can't remember any of it now, but we were all learning. So I've actually got a video still on my phone of us all like sitting in the hotel lobby, practicing our lines in Dothraki, practicing the scene in Dothraki and the accent.
Wait, so is that a real language or one that was made up for the show?
It was made up for the show.
Wow. So they
the accent coach, Jan, I believe her name is Jan. She is who was teaching us. She'd been on it for a while, and she worked closely with Emilia Clarke. So she was the one who was really helping us learn it.
Wow, that's incredible. And then so after that, what was interesting to you with these good roles coming in? Did you at that point, because every actor wants to get to a point where they have a degree of choice. You know what I mean? Did you feel like you had pun intended, agency, so to speak?
Interesting. I don't know. I think, I've always heard that there's sort of those two schools of thought, right? The like Bryan Cranston school of thought, which is take anything and everything and just get the experience. And then the Denzel Washington school of thought, which is be picky and specific from the beginning. And I think I kind of lean somewhere in the middle, but probably a bit more towards Bryan Cranston, definitely at that point, and kind of still now. I also think you never know what's going to lead to something.
Yeah.
And you never know, you never know kind of who you might meet or what you might learn. And I think I have also been quite lucky that for whatever reason, I tend to, like, for whatever reason, my agent always seemed to send things that I would want to do anyway. Like, it's rare that I get something that I'm like, oh, this, or oh, this again. Like, I don't feel like I get kind of the same roles. Whereas I know I was actually speaking to a friend of mine. He's a actor, black guy, and he definitely had in his 20s that thing of every audition was guy with a hoodie with a knife, guy with a hoodie with a knife. And it's like ridiculous and exhausting. But I think I have been lucky that I haven't sort of had that. So I haven't necessarily had to kind of ask those questions of myself so much. But maybe that'll come. But I'm also, of course you want to like this, you want to like the script. And for me, most important is actually who else is doing it? Who am I working with? If it, as if it's, I might have one line in one scene, but if that scene is with, like I did an Apple TV show called Trying, and I got to do a scene with Rafe Spall, like that to me is, I'm happy,
That's amazing. And I really appreciate the candor on that. And so then when you came back, you know, is that what led to Siren?
So actually, I was in LA for a pilot season, and I booked a.
So I'm sorry. Let me actually ask that. So when you came back and you had Game of Thrones at that point, because it did have, I mean, it wasn't just America, it was the world. But with that kind of credit, did you start to feel like, okay, I maybe need to pursue this American, you know, because like so much of, not all the actors, but you know, there's the Hollywood thing, and HBO is an American company. I mean, well, it's a worldwide one now, but you know that's where the casting happened. So was there like a moment where you're like, I have to go there?
Honestly, I think I can't speak for everyone, but I do think as a mixed race actress, that was from the beginning. There's always a sense that America is somewhere that we that is beneficial for us to go from the beginning, and it's just a question of like when you'll go and when you'll try to get there, because as amazing, I love the British industry, I love the stories that come out of it, but there is this kind of sense of so much opportunity in America for actors of darker skin tones.
Especially with I mean, it wasn't until Bridgerton where you saw people with darker skin tones in period pieces, because history's racist. Exactly. Right.
And I think that's what's so nice is I think that's what the UK industry is going to start to really do, is look at do things like what Bridgerton has done, which is kind of more of a I guess would that be, it's not even colorblind, it's just sort of,
it's just people are people, just you know,
people, right? But then also the fact that the UK has a lot of reckoning to do with the fact that we've pretended that Black and brown people didn't exist in our history, and they really did in real life. Like, we don't have to, there's an amazing book by this I think she's from Cambridge or Oxford historian called The Black Tudors, and it's a history book, it's a true book about all, and each chapter is based on a different person of history who existed in Tudor England at the time, but was of a darker skin tone. And it's an amazing book because it completely shatters that myth that like Black and brown people are brand new in the UK. But I digress. So I guess I'm saying, there's always a sense that America is a interesting place to go and explore. So actually, I had got a manager in America before I did Game of Thrones.
Wow. And when you got that manager, were you getting submitted, or did you have to come to America first to audition?
A mixture of both. And then I did do that kind of pilot season thing and
in LA.
And I stayed with my uncle, who's an actor too. And so we did it together. And it was, I think very fondly of it. Like, I kind of think of it as like a rite of passage of like, I've done a pilot season, and it's like a boot camp and all the auditions that you get through. And my first pilot season, I remember my first audition, it was like 12 pages, and I tried to learn it all. And then I got in the audition and couldn't remember anything. And the casting director was like, you can read it off the page, you know. And I was like, but I hadn't practiced that, so I just completely bombed the audition.
As we do at times, you know. We can laugh about it now, but in the moment, they're just so traumatic, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But how did it go for you for that pilot season?
Yeah, it was good. So looping back to what you had asked me before, I booked a pilot for Hulu MGM. It was called Dawn, with Robert Stromberg, who directed Maleficent, was the director. And we shot that in Ireland, and it didn't go to season, but it was really fun. We were playing kind of these warriors, early human warriors, again, had to learn a different language because we weren't meant to be speaking English. And they shaved the sides of my head for that. And that was my first, that was my first lead in a pilot, or one of the leads, sorry, in a pilot. And then I think even just having got that then helped be able to go up for something like Siren. And I think also because I had the sides of my hair shaved for that character, I think it helped. My character in Siren was meant to be a bit kind of a rebel, and I think that helped with the audition.
Wow. So how long after pilot season did Siren happen?
So I shot that MGM pilot in when did, like May of that year, whatever year that was, I think 2016, and then I got Siren in September of 2016, the pilot of Siren. Yeah.
And that was a pilot before it was a series?
Yeah, we had to wait to find out if it was going to be a series. Yeah.
And how was that journey, you know, shooting a pilot and hoping for the best?
Yeah, that was a really interesting journey, a good learning experience, I think, that I try and will try to take throughout being in this industry, is that we have to get that balance of caring so much, investing so much, and then also letting go, which I think is true for auditions too. I don't know how you feel, like that you have to care enough to put the work in, and you got to put yourself into it, but then you have to have the ability to like not be too attached.
Throw it away. It's
right?
The hardest thing to do in the world.
Yeah. Do you have like an audition ritual? Like, do you throw away your site? Do you do anything?
I do. Like yeah. And like, I try my best I give it a 24-hour thing. If I don't hear anything, then I'm like, it's on, you know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah, it's always, I say that very easily, but my mind dwindles on it, you know, but I don't know. How about you? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm the same. I try to just really do it, and then try as quickly as possible to put it out of my mind, which I do by trying to then focus on other things on my life as quickly as possible. But it is hard. I think it's easier to do that at the early stages.
Yeah.
When you're then getting like, you know, if you get an audition, you're getting down to the last 3, to the last 2, then I can't even lie to you. I'm like, I'm hoping, you know, I find it hard to then let go of it when you're that close to something.
Well, because, you know, we don't have a lot of time. I do want to talk about 10%. So tell me, you know, you did this amazing show for a lot of seasons, and it was incredible, and you're great. And then there's a show that's in, you know, it was Netflix, right?
Call My Agent is Netflix.
Yeah.
10% British, 10% is Amazon.
Amazing. So then that happens. It's a hit show. And, you know, are you still doing Siren at this point?
No, Siren was cancelled. Yeah.
So then you get the audition. How long after? Is there a break?
Yeah. Siren finished in 2019, and I got the audition for Call My Agent at the beginning of 2021.
Okay.
So the pandemic was kind of,
everyone.
The pandemic, I did an Apple TV show called Trying, and funnily enough, just quickly going back to what I was saying about how you never know what's going to lead to what. In the pandemic, I auditioned for Trying, and the amazing casting director, Rachel Freck, cast me in Trying, and she also cast me in 10%. Like, and I believe that she fought for me for that. So, you know, I think, you know, it's easy to have been like, oh, okay, I did a couple of episodes of Trying, but actually I think it's like, I think you've got to know that each opportunity might lead to the next one.
Yeah. And then when you got that audition, speaking of like not being able to let things go, knowing that it was the adaptation of this hit show, was there a lot of pressure?
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure, but Rachel Freck was very kind, and in the audition email, she put a lot of information for us actors, and she also put the links to John Morton's previous shows, W1A 2012, which I had been familiar with before, but she said to us, she said in the notes, rhythm and pace is really important with this writing. And then she put the links to his previous work. And when I had read that note, I thought, okay, yeah, I know what she means. And then I watched his previous work, and I was like, oh no, they mean pace. Like,
got it.
But like, not pace for the sake of pace, but it's just I think because my dad's a composer, I think of it this way. It's like a composition. If you don't get the rhythm right with his writing, it just doesn't take off. And by getting it right, it makes your job easier. We then don't have to do as much as actors because it's just so well written. So
that's such a great metaphor of the music. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. So she really helped with that, and I had so much fun with that audition. I had so much fun with it, and of course, I was really keen to get it, but a long time passed before I heard back. So
Really?
I thought, oh, okay.
How long are we talking, if you don't mind me asking?
In like audition world, I'd say it was over a month until I heard about
really
the
long
callback.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I did the callback, and then still maybe 2 weeks until I heard I got the job, or
Okay.
2-3 weeks. So yeah, it was, I kind of got used to being like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah. But then when you did you get the, the Wi-Fi Spain call again,
Yeah. Well, this time he just told me, I think he couldn't, he was just like, you got it. And I was just thrilled. I was so thrilled to be a part of that cast. And I actually hadn't, that's the first, oh no, in Holby City, I did my own accent. And then this, Call My in 10%. All my other jobs have been in an accent that's not mine. So it was also just something about like getting to play in my own accent, being part of this British cast, this great writing. I feel very thankful to be a part of it, really.
And was this one of the ones you got all the scripts for, or did you get it episode by episode?
They gave us a few of them up front, but then it was more episode by episode as they kept going. So we'd be on set, all of us, and being like, okay, episode 7's out. Quick, have a look.
So were you finding out the cameos? Obviously you got a couple like in real time.
Yes, we were.
Oh, and that must have been so fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. We were guessing. We were also sometimes throwing out like, what if it was this? But like, could it be this person? Could it be this person? And I think they did a great job with that, especially because it was just such a challenge, because it wasn't just about casting a big star cameo. It's also about whose real life could maybe fit into the story. For example, Clemence Posey's episode, it's like you have to find an actress who has recently had a baby or could have recently had a baby. You can't just
because they really do pull from the real. It's like it's so life. Great. The blend between narrative and reality that's why I love this show so much. Was it so much fun to shoot and work with so many amazing people?
Yeah, it really was. And I think all the cameos did such a good job to just be so up for it. They were so game to kind of slightly poke fun at themselves and be just wonderful people on set. And then in terms of the core cast, we had a really great time. Most of it was all in the office, so we were always all kind of on that set together, and it really then does just feel like a real workplace environment, because I could be at reception as Zoe, but then watching them doing their scene on that side of the office. And yeah, it was a really wonderful experience. So I think regardless of how it's received or how it's being received, I don't really know, but I feel proud to be a part of it.
Well, you should be. You're my favorite character in it.
And thank you.
It's like you're a proxy for myself and in my mind, and I feel for you so much, and it's so great. You're so amazing, and I'm just so proud of you, because you got such an amazing energy. You're so humble, and obviously you're very beautiful, and you're gonna go so far. And
thank you.
I'm just like so excited for you. Can you give me a little bit of a clue about what I don't. We can cut this if you can't talk about it, but
I can. I think.
Yeah, that you're in Vancouver right now doing a Netflix show.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much for your kind words. So thank you so much for having me to chat to you. So fun.
Please come back. I would love to dig deeper when we have more time.
Absolutely. So yeah, right now I'm in Vancouver working on a Netflix show called The Night Agent. Funny, not Call My Agent, The Night Agent. And it's a very different energy. It's a political spy thriller based on a book actually by Matthew Quirk called The Night Agent.
Not the same one that Tom Hiddleston did, The Night Manager?
Yeah, no, not The Night Manager.
Okay.
It's funny. All the names are like
Night
Agent, Call My Agent.
Call My Agent. That's just going to be it. Game of Agents is next.
Yeah, exactly. Just agents. So The Night Agent, and I play a Secret Service agent. So it's very fun, very different energy to Zoe in 10%. This character is very serious, very exacting, kind of her excellence is always what she's aiming for. And it's super fun. I'm getting to do kind of firearms training and wear my sort of Secret Service suit. So I'm really excited about that. This should come out next year in 2023.
Oh, well, you're going to please come back when it does. And
thank you.
I'm curious for you, a few final questions before we wrap. Do you feel like, no, I mean, you mentioned the UK has a lot of reckoning to do with history and people of color. And do you feel the American marketplace at least is making inroads? And do you feel, you know, like you're getting things that you want to be doing that aren't, you know, I mean, I'll just be honest, like racist or, you know, ignorant, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I really do. And I think it's so wonderful to have all these opportunities. And I think, you know, progress is slow and steady.
Yeah.
And there's always further to go. But I think we can all be compassionate that it takes time, and also that a lot of it is to do with, you know, the writing and what stories are being told. And I think for me, definitely I have ambitions to also be behind the camera. And I don't want to be the person that's just always complaining. It's like, okay, well, if you want to see something different, write it. And then you'll learn how hard it is to write a full script.
Well,
you know,
next time you're in New York City, hit me up and we'll write a script and you'll direct it.
Amazing. That'd be amazing.
Paula, this was so much fun. Thank you for coming on. And just one final question that I ask every guest. And, you know, we've touched on it a little bit, but if it's okay with you, and I know it's a little bit heavy, but for all the actors listening, and I know you said you don't feel great about advice, but if you had to give people advice, you know, we just got out of a pandemic, World War III, you know, it's a crazy time. You know, if you had any advice for people starting out now, what would it be?
That's a great question. I think, I'm sure I'll think of something else after we hang up, but I'll go with what first popped into my head. And I think it's probably because it's what I'm trying to work on at the moment, is I would say cling to the joy and to the fun, and how much you enjoy acting, if you do enjoy acting, which I hope you do, because then otherwise you shouldn't be doing it. But if we cling to that fun, I think that's what can get us through all the difficulty of the business and the industry and the rejection and the difficulty. If we keep moving towards how much we enjoy it and the play of it, that will help. And I think that's what I really tried. I think that's why I enjoyed 10% so much, is because I went in there just trying to have as much fun as I could with the writing. And that's what I'm really trying to keep with me for now.
And there's even a couple funny like diversity jokes in
exactly. So good.
Maybe I should cut that because I don't want to give anything away.
No, I think it's fine.
Okay, cool. But this was incredible. You're so sweet and so kind, and you're going so far. And I hope we get a chance to work together one day. And when The Night Agent is coming out, please come back and let's break it down. Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you so much for having me. You're such a great interviewer. Oh, I don't know about that, but you know, we'll definitely have to, you know, chat over acting more one day, because I feel like you have so many great stories, and I'm just so excited for you. Thank you so much. All right, so much love. Okay. So much love.